Hi, my name is Simon and you're watching Soundwave TV, transforming your video experience. It's been quite a week this past week, and just considering everything that's happened in Baton Rouge, everything that's happened in Dallas, everything that happened in Minnesota, with the deaths of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling and the 5 officers down in Dallas, Texas, and there's a lot to consider. And the big question is, what do we do now going forward? And I say the soul of our country is at stake. And one thing is, we have to force the silent majority to get active. No longer can neutrality be the norm. If you're not on the side of justice, by definition, you're on the side of injustice. And we have seen unrest already in Ferguson, Baltimore. Does another U.S. city have to burn before people start to get the point? Black people are tired of being killed by the police unnecessarily. And people always ask, what about black on black crime? What about crime in the inner city? And yes, people should be as passionate about getting drug dealers and gun runners out of their communities. But here's the thing. Police officers are paid with taxpayer dollars. And they are trained extensively on how to disarm and defuse situations. We have multiple videos that show our Caucasian brothers and sisters being disarmed and being talked down without a loss of life. There has been I guess what you call loud talk or belligerence, and it's been neutralized without the loss of life. We have a bunch of videos of that. And yeah, I mean, imagine that. People having the crazy idea that police officers should be held to a higher standard than gang members. I mean, imagine that. And there's a lot of frustration, and frustration on my end because I don't know how to go forward, because people have marched and sang and prayed, and they've also burned and broken down stuff, and it doesn't seem like anything's getting changed. The peaceful way didn't work, the violent way didn't work, but people are gonna. It looks like it could lean toward violence. There's always I crazy because I saw X-Men the other day, and it's sort of like the Charles Xavier way versus the Magneto way. Charles Xavier wants peace, and Magneto's willing to use force. And I think people are angry enough that they're going to start using force if we don't get something permanent changed pretty soon. And I wish I had the exact answer. I know far wiser people than myself, have discussed and dissect the various issues going on with race and law enforcement. But in the spirit of being solutions oriented, I'm going to put forth a few things that I think that could help or alleviate the situations that we've been going through. Does anybody think that police shifts are too long? Now, I know with myself, my nerves are frayed at the end of an 8-hour shift. And I used to work overnight jobs, go in at 10 at night and get off at 6 in the morning. And my nerves are shot at about 5:45, 6:30 heading home. So times that, times 2, times 3. You got these 12, 18, 24, 36-hour shifts. And is the brain really going to be functioning at a high level? and especially with police officers who have the latitude to use deadly force. And that's another issue. You know, we have to get a clear definition of discretion. Just because you can take a life doesn't mean that you should, or that is even the best idea. Something else we could do is, I want more black people, I need more brothers and sisters to consider journalism as a profession. And I know that we are deep into the social media era. Here's the thing. You may have 10,000 people following you on social, but CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, they have 10 million viewers. So which do you think should be the priority? And like, when you see the mugshots getting picked, when you see the perhaps the criminal history of the victim being utilized first, and that's where position and narrative are very important. And you see that, and you can just tell that there are no people of color in that newsroom deciding which stories gets priority or which facts get priority. Look around. Mary Jane Paul is the only one of the few black people as an anchor, and she's a fictional character. That's not good. And I need more black people to consider law enforcement on all levels as a career. You look at who's enforcing the laws, and you don't see a lot of people. You know, I see a lot of people that don't look like me. You know, like Judge Mathis, you ask people to name a prominent black judge, they'll probably tell you Judge Mathis or tell you Judge Joe Brown. That's not good. And I think what else I want to say. I know that there are great cops out there, and what happened in Dallas was horrible. And I think it did more to hurt the movement than help anything. I mean, like, you spit at a cop in Texas, you're going to get 10 years off general principle. And like, I don't know how a guy thought that was going to end. But I just know that that blue wall of silence has to come down. And there should be a way for honest, hardworking police officers to report on their fellow officers that are doing their wrongdoing confidentially. And there is a way for them to communicate with the Department of Justice, you know, someone outside of their local precinct, to sort of get things done, get things rolling. You know, if Kmart and Target have confidential means to communicate on wrongdoing, then I think our law enforcement agencies should have those as well. And it's just that my heart goes out to the family of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling's family. You know, that 4-year-old child went through something that was very traumatic. And I hope this doesn't scar her for the rest of her life. And I saw the video of Alton Sterling's 15-year-old son. He now has to be the man of the house. And that's a terrible burden to put on the shoulders of just a teenager. And hopefully this will not make him bitter or resentful towards the world. As I was saying, you know, I have a deep respect for law enforcement, for police officers. You know, they do a job that most of us don't want to do, or most of us can't do. You know, it hits home because I live in Augusta, Georgia, Aiken, South Carolina area, where 2 police officers were killed during routine traffic stops within 6 months of each other. This is about 5 years ago. And they often have to make split-second decisions. But after this week, you can't turn a blind eye anymore. And we can't sit and act as if there isn't a fundamental disconnect between law enforcement and communities of color. The soul of the nation is at stake. And this is the boiling point. This is the turning point right here. Things are either going to get much better or much worse. Well, tell me what you think about what I said. Put in the comments down below. Share this video around. If you agree, tell me what you agreed with. If you disagree, let's get a conversation going and let's see if we can get some middle ground here. Well, I'm just some chubby guy running his mouth on the internet. Check out my other videos if you get time. Until next time, this is Soundwave signing off. Peace.